call is now being recorded.
Okay, that's fine. Record the call. But what's your new rant? You didn't answer the question.
Greg, do you think that your actions are professional, yes or no?
Yes. Now, do you think your acts are professional, yes or no?
Absolutely, Greg, because my efforts are not personal. I'm trying to take care of business, and you obstructing business. And so I ask you for policies. Wait, you're over-talking me once again. I'll yield. Go ahead and speak, sir.
Get this on record. Get this on record. I just received a text out the blue. Greg.
This meeting will be in accord with the Global Intelligence Agency Grievance Protocol, and particularly the statement by our director of the GIA, Ms. Gogan. She made that statement on June 7th, 2021. And I'm going to read the statement for us. She said, if you are unable to handle your misunderstandings or internal grievances among yourself, then what does this say to all of the people you are supposed to be leading? Are we disregarding the voice of the people? If so, assembly matters are not for you, and perhaps consider a career in current politics, as they also couldn't care less what the people have to say as well. She continued, natural law is people governing themselves, firstly, as individuals, and our interaction with the entire ecosystem, including each other. This includes admitting mistakes. So please remember the task at hand and what it is at stake here. Please stop making inflammatory statements based on falsehoods, and let's move on and get the Georgia de Jure Assembly properly formed and up and running. Georgia is a big state, and with lots of work ahead of you, there is more than enough for everyone to do. End of quote. Does any officer here today, as an observer, object to the GIA grievance protocol, the GIA procedures?
No.
No.
Okay.
They were never brought before the board, I would like to say. Thank you. And I yield.
Thank you. But I'd like to read it just for us to have oneness and understanding. So the approved grievance procedure recommendations, as they were. Number one, grievances must be submitted in writing to the appropriate party with specific claims, dates, and supporting evidence. Every attempt should be made by the accuser and the accused to resolve the issue within their assembly according to their due process before it is submitted formally to the GIA or the US National Assembly. 2, if the issue is elevated beyond the state or county assembly, the accused must be given notice that a claim has been made against them with full transparency about the supporting evidence, specific accusations, damage done by the alleged actions, and proposed resolution. 3, both parties must be given the fair opportunity to present their case, including testimony, recordings, emails, text messages, and any pertinent documentation that helps prove or disprove the accusations. Hard evidence will be considered irrefutable. Contradictory testimonies will be considered hearsay and not factored into any final decisions. 4, in the case of a non-criminal accusation, an unbiased mediator whom both parties agree to utilize will review the evidence presented and compare against the allegations to conclude if the accused has committed the acts of which he or she has been accused. A resolution will be proposed based on the evidence, and a vote will be cast by the members of the assembly to support or deny said proposals. 5, if the accusations are of a criminal nature, then a proper grand jury should be formed to investigate the accusations, discuss the irrefutable evidence privately, and present their findings with a resolution to the assembly when their investigation is complete. And this was sent out by our Deputy Director, Stephen Rowe. And I would now like to take a quick moment to do a roll call on all of us who are present for the record. So I'm seeing Kim Chastain.
Here.
Felicia Logan.
Here.
Mr. Vince Spencer.
Here.
Mr. Stuart Logan.
Here.
Mr. Lewis Taylor III.
Here.
Mr. Gregory Brown.
I'm present.
Miss May Wang. I'm seeing John, our Deputy Chief of Staff.
Present.
And Mr. Chris. It says IT. What's your last name for the record?
Nunez.
That's right.
Here.
Thank you. And I am Odette Activille, and I am here. Thank you. So I want to say, since I want you all to be mindful that since we have merged both assemblies, we have had grievances, which has taken up much of our time away from actually executing our duties. For the record, I personally made an attempt on Wednesday, July 28th, around 5:28 p.m. in the evening. I sent out an email to President Brown to find out how we can get this issue resolved, where we were receiving all these emails. I couldn't understand why all these emails were coming to us. And even up to today, I also got another email saying that I was treading on dangerous waters. But I would love us to get back to work and get back to the business. So that's why this meeting was called. And since we had Commissioner Chastain was unable to have her questions answered from the email request to President Brown, the Georgia de Jure Assembly grants her the floor to address her questions or concerns regarding a response to the Assembly, which can be made, where we can make recommendations on better ways to improve our unified efforts of this Assembly in support of the Global Restoration Plan. I also want to say, before I hand the floor over to her, every issue is a concern and must be prioritized and handled to the best of our ability as an Assembly. So, with that said, I am going to hand the floor over to Ms. Chastain.
Thank you. First, I want to absolutely thank everyone for taking the time for this emergency meeting and giving me the floor so that I could share this grievance and also attempt to resolve it in the best interest of the Assembly. As I would like to make an opening statement, and then I will ask my questions. Our Assembly, which is the Georgia de Jure Assembly, is one of the only five states to be ratified and recorded in the Hall of Records as of this date. We, the people of Georgia, are lawfully assembled for the people and by the people, and we are tasked with the moral and lawful authority of the jurisdiction of Georgia. We are operating in official capacity as of July 5th of this year. Our Assembly was endorsed by the Global Intelligence Agency and the guardian of the global financial system, Kimberly Ann Gogan, who holds the only single security clearance globally at level 74. We have been granted a miraculous opportunity, and we have been given the power to save lives, solve problems, and to truly help and transform the lives of the people in Georgia that need us. Therefore, we must in good faith have the ability and the heart to be humble and honorable. We must be committed with moral excellence. We must have integrity, honesty, and we must have the ability to function ethically in a group. We must have courage, each of us, to correct the problems in our group, even when it means filing a grievance against another board member. We cannot tolerate and ignore the behaviors of Mr. President Gregory Brown, who currently holds the title of President, Moderator, and Director of IT of this Assembly. We cannot ignore the behaviors, the words, and the actions as outlined in the multitude of malicious emails and actions that are outlined in my grievances. As a trained ethics executive and a founder of several service-based companies myself, treating the people for 30 years, I can tell you from experience that this Assembly is highly fractured and is not functioning as it should. The most glaring difference that I have seen in my experience between a very successful, happy, easy to work group or organization excuse me, is that the individual members they actually enforce the actions and the morals of the group internally. The people in a successful organization must enforce the actions to restore an ethical environment, no matter what. We must be more dedicated to the greater cause, to the ongoing existence of this assembly, to our fellow officers and future employees, than to any one person that is demonstrating dismissive, divisive, controlling behavior that will bring the assembly in disrepute. How does an ethical leader behave? An ethical leader is transparent, honest, demonstrates integrity by delivering on his or her area of responsibility, is worthy of our trust. Most importantly, knows how to accept responsibility for mistakes or omissions to the people that are depending on that person in the organization. Ethical people as leaders create safe, open, transparent environments in which the members naturally want to be part of and want to work hard for and want to contribute. An ethical leader does not threaten, harass, demean, belittle, dismiss, or function as a dictator. An ethical leader does not malign, disparage, slander, or target group members in an attempt to shape group opinion about any other member or officer. An ethical leader does not create an unsafe environment for free speech and self-expression. Our assembly exists to replace the oppressive governance that exists in this world and our state today, not to recreate it. So, Mr. President, we have extended ample opportunity for you to respond to not just grievance questions, but also to follow up email questions from several board members to no avail, and no answers have been forthcoming. Therefore, the format of this meeting, in order to get through all of the questions that I have, are formatted for yes and no. And this is to avoid interruptions. I ask the moderator, please, Ms. Queen O, the Secretary of State, please keep order as we have many questions to get through in our remaining time. If you, Mr. President, have any questions, you certainly can submit them via email and they will be responded to. And with that, I would like to start with my questions. These are yes, no questions for Mr. President. Mr. President, have you ever misrepresented?
Can I address something firstly before
This is the format of the meeting, Mr. President.
You're proceeding as this is a trial. This is an emergency.
Please keep
meeting.
order, Ms. Secretary of State.
The Secretary of State is just that. She is to record and give access to the file.
Moderator, would you please keep order?
I am
Thank
the
you.
moderator, am I not? And if I am
You are not the moderator of this meeting. This is my meeting and I have the floor.
Okay, so let's get something clear right here. We will have order, and we would not have anybody talking over anybody.
I must have the floor to address.
No. I'm muting everybody. I am muting everybody. The reason why we are having this meeting is because you, Mr. Brown, did not answer the questions that were placed before you in the emails.
And did I not give a time frame for that?
No, you did not.
Okay, I did not.
So
I did not. Okay.
So I'm calling this meeting.
We
call this meeting so that we can have some clarity before Monday, as a matter of fact.
Okay, thank you. My first question, Mr. President, have you ever misrepresented any facts or claims to the GIA? Yes or no, please.
Next question.
Mr. President, have you ever misrepresented any facts or claims to the assembly officers or members to date by an email, phone, or public meeting? Yes or no, please. For the record, I don't hear anything. So is anyone else hearing anything? Okay.
He's obviously not answering.
So for the record, Mr. President is refusing to answer the questions. I will continue down the list. Mr. President, do you have any evidence of slanderous emails or text messages by Mr. Taylor containing slanderous remarks or threats to or about another member? Yes or no?
I have notified the board.
This is
that
a
my
yes or no
responses will
question,
be in
sir.
email.
This is a yes or no question, sir.
My responses will be in email. Thank you.
Number 4, do you have any evidence to support your claim of total disruptive behavior by Mr. Taylor towards fellow members and board officers of this assembly that you can evidence? It's a yes or no question.
Indeed, my responses will be in email. Yes.
Mr. President, are you refusing to answer any questions in this
Not at all.
meeting?
Not at all. I would love to answer all of them.
So should I start over at number 1 and we can
No.
see if you can answer a yes or no
My
question?
response will be in email.
The question is a yes or no question. Are you refusing to answer a yes or no question?
Are you refusing to receive my email?
Are you refusing to answer a yes or no
Are
question?
you refusing to receive my email response?
Okay, I'll step in here. As the moderator on this call, Mr. President, you had your chance for all the emails. We got a lot of emails this week. And that's why we are calling this meeting right here.
Your emails did not come from me, did they?
The emails came from the president.
The email responses came from the president.
The email.
Let's be clear. The email responses came from the president.
No, you
The
didn't even
emails-
answer.
The
Hello?
emails were initiated by someone else, were they
No,
not?
Mr. President, you didn't even answer the simple questions that I had.
That's right.
So, okay. So
The-
for the record, the
my-
president
here-
did not answer the questions, even the simple questions that I had.
Because you can read it in the text. I have notified the assembly that I will respond in the email in due process within 30 days, period. That was it.
Mr. Brown, I have the floor and I have many questions. So we are going to continue with the questions and the answers are
My
yes or
answer
no.
is right
If you
there.
prefer,
on the-
sir, if you prefer, you can use the hand gesture instead, but you are causing multiple interruptions in a very simple procedure.
This is not a trial.
These are yes and no questions, and this is my floor. Okay, the next question is number 5. Do you have any, I'm sorry, number 4. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of total disruptive behavior by Mr. Taylor towards fellow members and board officers of this assembly that you can evidence?
It's in the
Yes or
text.
no?
It's in the
Yes
text.
or no?
It's in the
Number
text
5, do
for
you
the
have
record.
any evidence that Mr. Taylor is spreading lies, false allegations, or suggestions to other officers? Yes or no?
It's in the text chat.
Do you have any evidence to support your claims that Mr. Taylor has a hidden agenda to control the assembly operations, or that he has attempted to tear down the progress and the accomplishments of this de jure assembly? Yes or no? For the record, no response has been received. Mr. President, you speak of transparency
Response is
often.
in the text chat, please. Thank you.
Just continue.
Okay, number 7, Mr. President, oh, I'm sorry, I already said that one. No, okay, next question. Are you aware of our grievance protocols? Yes or no?
No. In fact, post them, please.
Next, I asked
Post
for
them,
yes
please,
or no
because
answer. Thank
I would,
you,
no,
sir. We
that's
are
not a
trying to
yes
get
or no.
through this,
I would
and this
love
is my
to know the
floor.
grievance protocols
Moderator,
that
would
we
you please
adopted. Where's my
take
signature
order?
on the grievance protocol? Please. And for the record, stop muting me when I respond to the question.
Respond, you have to respond with a yes or no. The
No,
explanation
you
is not
cannot
for no.
tell, you cannot
had
tell
your-
me, you cannot
had your
tell me
time.
how
No,
to
you had
respond.
your time.
You must give me the floor to respond. You again, you cannot tell me how to respond.
When you mute, it mutes, I guess, everyone. So I'm not able. Okay, the next question is, do you, Mr. President, believe that going to the GIA rather than your fellow board members to handle the internal grievance was subversive versus following our protocols? Yes or no, sir?
There are no protocols, and I did
Okay.
not go to the GIA.
Okay, for the
PTSD.
record, Mr.
Mhm.
President will not answer a yes,
Oh,
no
it's-
question. Next
the-
question, did
every-
you file
every
a
answer-
I will ask my questions, I have the floor.
Okay, every answer is
Did
in
you
the-
file a written grievance against Mr. Taylor and follow the protocols? Yes or no? Okay, for the record, no answer. Next question, did you contact PGSD Kelly Assay about the grievance filed against you? Yes or no? For the record, no answer. Next question, did you, Mr. President, intentionally withhold information and answers to our questions from the officers of this assembly regarding the internal grievances until after you spoke with Kelly Assay? Yes or no, sir? You are welcome to produce any follow-up questions, as I mentioned in an email to these questions. For the record, I have not received a response. Number four.
Okay, Kim?
Sorry.
Kim,
Yes, yes,
Mr. Assay has his hand raised.
I'm sorry, I don't see it. Let me change this view. Okay, yes, certainly. I don't have control of that. Let's see.
Problem. I want to clear up a couple things. Number one, it's AC.
Oh, AC, sorry.
AC.
Okay, regardless, Hank still can't pronounce it properly. And the PGSD is actually here to help either side, anybody, as it comes to issues. And it doesn't have to do with escalating. Our purpose is to do our best to help you not have to escalate anything all the way up to the GIA level. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Okay, I will continue with my questions. The next question is, Mr. President, did you send Kelly AC any documentation concerning this grievance?
Indeed, I did. And Mr.
Thank you.
AC, did I not reach out to you
Mr. President,
so that it was not?
Since you have confirmed that you have sent something, would you please share a copy with the board members of what you sent to Mr.
Yes,
AC?
everyone was copied.
Thank you.
It was all of the responses you received in emails.
Did you send any additional documentation other than what we saw in the emails to Mr. AC? Yes or no?
Besides the recording of this call, no.
Thank you. My next question is, do you feel, Mr. President, that it is important to get outside counsel without answering the questions presented to you first by your fellow board members? Yes or no, sir? Okay, I have not received a response. Next
It's in
question.
the chat. It's in the chat. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you think that an officer found guilty of gross misconduct should be banned from the assembly?
That's a ridiculous question. And my answer is in the
And my
chat.
next question would be, did you attempt to influence a decision on a united front for defense, and those are your words, against Mr. Taylor for his inquiries into the clerks and their grievances? Yes or no? Okay, next question. I have not received a response, a verbal response. Was the intent for the email July 23rd that you sent privately to me intended to set up a united front for defense against Mr. Taylor? Okay, I do not have a verbal response. My next question would be, have you publicly, personally challenged Mr. Taylor on his many contributions towards the national assemblies? Yes or no, sir? Okay, I have not received a response. My next question would be, Mr. President, did you state as a matter of record that Mr. Taylor has done no work for the Georgia de Jure Assembly? Yes or no, sir? Okay, I have not received a verbal
It
response.
appears that you have changed the words to that.
I will have to pull up the email. The United
Yes,
Front is
state
what I
only facts,
recall.
please.
Okay.
State only facts.
So my next question, sir, I will absolutely look that exactly, and in fact, I will have to look at that right now. Give me one moment. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have it on this laptop. So I will send that in a follow-up to everyone in electronic format, which I believe I already did in my grievance, but I will also double check that. Okay, my next question would be, excuse me, I just lost my track where I am here. Have you publicly, personally challenged Mr. Taylor? Okay, I've already said that one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get going here. Okay. Is it true, Mr. President, that the Assembly currently uses Bamboo HR, Jotform, and Election Buddy as platforms in which the Assembly operates on a daily basis? And were these platforms set up through the efforts of Mr. Taylor?
That is the status of my grievance.
Yes or no, sir?
All platforms were to be set up by the IT department, not Mr. Taylor.
Is it true that the Assembly currently
All
uses Bamboo
platforms were to
HR,
be set up by
Jotform, and
the IT
Election
department.
Buddy as platforms in which the Assembly operates on a daily basis? And were these platforms set up through the efforts of Mr. Taylor?
No, Mr. Taylor helped you create some forms
Okay,
within the
thank you.
platform.
My next question, sir. We have a lot to get through, and this is why the format is this way, because you had ample opportunity to answer many of my questions. So now I have the floor, sir. Mr. President, did you offer any solutions as the IT director of our Assembly that conflicted with any of the efforts of Mr. Taylor to help organize any of the Jotforms, Election Buddy, and Bamboo HR, or any other programs that supports our Assembly on a day-to-day basis? Did you offer any solutions?
At most, this is an improper proceeding.
Okay,
I will not
we are going to move
respond.
on to the next question. These are yes, no answers, sir. You have ample opportunity to submit an email. As I have stated, we'd be happy
do not
to
consent to any
receive your
further.
information. We will be happy to receive your information, as we have for quite some time now. Okay,
can
my next
proceed with
question
copy.
is, do you think Mr. Taylor has been transparent with the Assembly about his efforts to grow the Assembly by his questions or his presentations to the Assembly of the tools that we use? Do you feel he has been transparent with that? Okay, I have not received a response. My next question would be, do you feel that you've been fully transparent when it comes to our website, the Georgia de Jure website? I've not received a response. My next question would be, on June 7, 2021, you stated to Kim Gogan that our bylaws were housed on the Georgia de Jure website. Are the bylaws currently on our website? Yes or no, sir? Okay, I will answer that. Yes, as of yesterday, we're not. Should be about 8 weeks after the request. My next question would be, Mr. President, did all the board members agree to be reimbursed for the identification card and our badges when we were when funding for the Assembly would come through, we would be reimbursed? Did we all agree to that? Okay, I've not received a response. My next question, do you feel that Ms. Clark's demand for reimbursement within 48 hours was appropriate? Okay, I have not received a response. My last question would be, Mr. President, do you find it disturbing that Leslie Clark, after working for our Assembly for many months, has nothing at all to return to the Assembly during her time? Do you find that disturbing? For the record, there is no response. That concludes my questions for Mr. President at this time. I appreciate the opportunity to do so.
May I have the floor now for my questions?
No, you may not have the floor
Correct.
Why is that?
because you didn't answer any of the questions. And I have my questions that I need to ask as well.
Oh, okay, that's a rule. Okay.
No floor, yes. Today, for the record, today, Mr. Gregory Brown, President of the Georgia de Jure Assembly, is not moderating. It's the Secretary of State who does more than take notes and serve as the recorder.
What is my job description in the bylaws? What is the? Please go to the bylaws.
Mr. President, you
Not
have
what you're doing tonight.
absolutely welcome to send us any questions or
Please go to the
information follow-up that you can after this. We have the floor right now and we will be continuing.
Who is the moderator?
Miss Queen O,
Written
would
in
you
our
please
bylaws.
ask your questions?
For this call today, July 31st, and it is 9:38 right now, PM. I am the moderator for this call, Mr. President. I am the moderator.
And where did
And
you
if
get
you
that
are not
authority?
the only moderator on this call here tonight. No, 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 no.
Where
And
did
you're
you
not
get
the
the?
only, nope, 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 no, no, no.
This is a council.
Nope, nope, nope.
This is a council.
Nope. I don't hear. Please do not speak. Please.
This is a council.
Mr. President, any time remaining after Miss Queen O has finished her questions, I will
Thank you.
read
Thank you,
my
guys.
summary
Thank
of
you for
major
demonstrating
grievances.
the
Thank
takeover.
you.
I don't understand why Mr. Brown keep interrupting and speaking over everybody.
I'm not speaking over.
It does
I'm
not,
just
yes,
responding.
you're speaking while I am speaking. You're speaking while Miss Kim is speaking. This is something that you constantly do, and I always have to mute you. Why is that? Grown people here, why
Because
do you have to
my
behave,
job is to
like that? No, 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 I don't want to hear. At this point, I don't want to hear right now. Please.
I second that. Please proceed with your questions, Queen.
Do you think I want to be the moderator? But it's just that this this lawless behavior, this disrespectful behavior that you constantly carry on with when we have these meetings. I cannot sit by and listen to all of this. And that's just me.
I guess we can play whatever. You can be moderator.
I listen.
IT department tomorrow.
Hey, we're not doing this. This is disrespectful in the highest degree.
I agree.
Nobody speaks while you are speaking, but you always interrupting and speaking over the next person. So wait, no, not this evening. And I have to say, 10:36 in the night on the last call, we had to do this.
Yes, we did, and it was Lewis.
It's always the next person, never you. So as grown people, we have to take some type of responsibility and be respectful of the next person. I asked you on Wednesday, July 28th, I said to you, why are we not setting the examples, the same examples that you spoke of in another email directly to me? Why are we not setting the example? Speaking directly with the accuser, texting, emailing the person directly. No answer. Why are we, the other members, subjected to the back and forth emails that you have that are saying nothing? Why are only accusing and damaging people's personality? Why we have to be going through this? Aren't we supposed to be about the assembly business? That's what I ask. I even asked if you would like us to set up a call, a meeting to resolve some of these issues. No response. Now you want to talk over me or say what I am and what I am not. So when the president is being accused or any other officer, they have to, listen, understand what is happening, pay attention, stand down. That is what you say in the military. We stand down and then give somebody else the opportunity so that you can get your thoughts together to say what you need to say. Moderators don't have to be the same moderator all the time.
Would you also read the code of ethics that he emailed to, Mr. President emailed to us? I think it was yesterday or the day before. Or did you already read that earlier?
No, I read the.
I'm sorry.
I read the GIA's grievance protocol.
Okay. Thank you. Please proceed with your questions.
I would like to know what the president meant when I called this meeting. He sent an email. First, his email said that he would not be able to attend. Then 10 minutes later, he said, okay, he would not be able to attend. And the email this morning said to me directly, CCing the other members, that he said, you have been led into dangerous waters. And you know that this is not how we set up this assembly. This continued subversive control and behavior of a said few are in direct violation of not only the bylaws of this assembly, and he continued. So I would like to know, me trying to get us all in a room where we can talk, where we can have our questions, concerns, issues addressed. I would like to know what is this dangerous waters? And that will be directed to you, Mr. Brown. For the record, there was no answer.
When you are done, I have one more question.
Go right ahead.
Mr. President, would you please pull up the code of ethics that you emailed to everyone that we had not seen before a couple of days ago? And would you please read that to the assembly officers right now, please, or in a minute when you pull it up?
He notified in the chat that he's not responding anymore.
Okay, I'm going to read a code of ethics that Mr. President emailed to the group demanding that it be signed. We have, the Secretary of State did request of him, and there is a record of this, if he had proof of the wet seal or where did this come from? And we did not get a response. So I'm going to read what was sent to us. And I was personally demanded to fill it out. Okay, this is from Mr. President. Georgia de Jure Assembly Code of Ethics. Again, please, for the record, no, we have not seen this ever before, and we do not know where it came from, and we had no information about that. This assembly is supposed to be open to the public. It's supposed to be the voice of we the people. We don't represent you, the individual. You represent your, oh, sorry about this. And this was part of his email, sorry. It says, we will not cheat, lie, steal, or deceive another person. We will fulfill our duty as a leader even when it's difficult or unpopular. We will not promote political causes in our capacity. We will never use our affiliation with the Georgia de Jure Assembly for personal gain. We will treat others with dignity and respect. We will not condone anyone paid to cause division, hateful rhetoric, or groups formed around negative intentions, pornography, or excessive profanity. We will never subject any person to discrimination on the basis of race, ethnicity, sex, sexual orientation, color, religion, disability, or national origin. We will never use our position of authority or membership to intimidate, demean, humiliate, dominate, coerce, or hurt another person mentally, emotionally, or physically. We will immediately intervene to stop any others who do. We will not heed or spread gossip. We will maintain appropriate boundaries at all times. Subversion and control tactics are not allowed, are causes for immediate cancellation and or banned membership. These actions are meant to manipulate the structure of the assembly and its processes. So I will ask you one more time for the record, Mr. Brown, Mr. President, where did this document come from? When was it written? And where is this, when was this some sort of proof, if you could provide to us where we were provided this document and where we were able to provide input for this document?
Your secretary should be able to retrieve that. And it's been on our website since day one under historical documents. So that just goes to show you're operating without even abiding by your own.
Asked you in an email to the
Your own
entire
documents.
group if you could please provide some kind of information about the origin, and you ignored her email for the record.
Did you not ask me to respond?
These are yes, no.
Let it be known that I keep getting muted out for my response.
Okay, I'm going to, like I said, I do still have the floor. And what I'm going to do is read a quick summary. First of all, Queen O, are you finished with your questions or do you have more?
I am finished for now. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to briefly read and you will all get a copy of this. This is just a summary of the grievances that, my grievances. Number one was disregarded standard. This is about Mr. Brown, Mr. President Greg Brown. Disregarded standard grievance procedures. Mr. Brown chose to disregard standard grievance procedure and instead privately emailed me on 7/23 unsubstantiated slanderous claims about the ethics commissioner, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Brown chose to use undue influence by using his position in trying to rally a unified force against the ethics commissioner to deflect from failures in performing the duties of his office. He stated in his email, as far as the unethical behavior damaging, this is to me personally, okay? He stated in that email, as far as the unethical behavior damaging actions and resignations of the clerks, well, the ironic part of that is it was all provoked and inflamed by the one member who was elected to establish ethical best practices. However, instead, he chose to instigate the behavior to a point of no return for the clerks and others that have left as well. Another pattern. Again, I'm taking notes. Please pay close attention to what's going on. My second point on my summary grievance, this is not a comprehensive list, projection and escalating mischaracterizations. Mr. Brown has expressed on several occasions in writing on board member emails that the grievance procedures and requests to him for evidence create a hostile environment. Mr. Brown refused to provide evidence of his claims in maligning the ethics commissioner since July 23rd, 2021. Mr. Brown's actions are purely seeking to divide and conquer this board. Mr. Brown's hostility is evidenced in at least 2 recorded recent assembly meetings and an agreed to be recorded conversation with the ethics commissioner that has been shared with the board. Mr. Brown's perception is that ethics handlings and grievances filed against him are unprovoked internal differences, and that it creates a hostile rapport. For example, Mr. Brown wrote, I quote, Ms. Chastain and Mr. Taylor have decided to waste the assembly's time and my time with unprovoked internal differences and grievances that lead nowhere but create a hostile rapport with fellow board members. Next section for me, the hostility from Mr. Brown to me personally and several board members has escalated markedly with an indirect threat today in his email to the board attempting to stop an emergency board meeting about the grievance against him. He has refused to answer questions put to him from 4 different board members to date. He has targeted several board members through board broadcasted emails containing malicious remarks, false statements, belittling, demeaning, dismissive, and tyrannical statements. Coincidentally, these behaviors were the basis for the first grievance I filed against him on July 23rd. I am one of several board members that have grievances against Mr. Brown. Today, July 31st, he broadcasted an email, a threat to another board member. You have been led into dangerous waters. In addition, Mr. Brown is now predictably seeking to divide and conquer through the creation of a new email narrative of there being collaborators against him to the other board members. And number 3, on my summary sheet, misrepresentation and dishonesty. In the capacity as president of the Georgia de Jure Assembly, Mr. Brown lied to Kimberly Ann Gogan about the bylaws being present on the Georgia de Jure Assembly website that he was responsible for, as indicated in a June 7, 2021 letter from Kimberly Ann Gogan, when she pointed out that there were no bylaws present on the website. The bylaws are still not present on the website as of yesterday, 8 weeks later. Mr. Brown then withheld this information from the board until the Ethics Commissioner revealed it to us. Mr. Brown reacted with hostility, berating and screaming at the Ethics Commissioner instead of accepting responsibility and explaining his poor representation of this assembly as president to the board. Kimberly Ann Gogan also noted in the letter that there were false claims by 2 other Georgia de Jure Assembly board members, including Leslie Clark. Mr. Brown defended the sudden departure of the Clarks and blamed the board members for their departure. And that's the end of my summary grievance. So I would like to thank everyone for coming. And again, I will repeat, any questions that anyone on the board or anyone here present has, please feel free to email and it will be responded to. And I, of course, offer the same to Mr. President. And again, I appreciate everyone's time. And then Ms. Quino, in terms of, I yield the floor to you. Okay, this meeting is concluded, and as I said, please forward any questions that you may have or answers that. Yes, sorry.
I was muted.
Oh, sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I'd like to thank all members of the board for showing up at this meeting tonight, although some of you stated that you would not be able to attend. I also would like to thank you, Ms. Chastain, for the bravery to pose your questions and seek answers. I'd like to thank our guest, who is serving as an observer, for coming on to this call this evening. As Kim stated, she will send out some questions. We will send that out. And I thank you, Mr. President, for taking the time to answer or not answer the questions presented to you. Do you have any further remarks pursuant to Ms. Kim's questions, her grievances?
I do. You'd like to, I appreciate you thanking me for taking the time to answer the questions, yet you did not give me the time that I had requested in my email. So let that be known for the record. And for the last, before I yield the floor, a question and answer session is just that, questions and answers. You can't read for 20 minutes on a question and then ask me to only respond yes or no as an answer. That is not a question and answer session. That is a railroad sort of trial, and I'm not partaking in that trial. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your comments. Ladies and gentlemen, a ballot would be sent out with additional questions, and you are required to participate. Is there any concerns or questions? If you have concerns or questions, feel free to send out your email through Bamboo HR or send it out directly to us, all board members. Okay, and I thank you very much for taking the time. And it is 9:57, and we are going to close this call.
Please email me a copy of this call.
Thank you, Queen.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much.